của cái cuộc sống của chúng ta. Our setting and the way that we've grown up and how we live is different. If I could share a question with you. Why is it difficult or challenging for family members, particularly parents and children, to speak to one another? Tại sao nó có những cái khó khăn, những cái thách đố? Tại sao có người trong gia đình không có thể nói chuyện với nhau được? Không có cái sự đối thoại, không có cái sự thông cảm được. Cái lý do tại sao một phần là người Á Châu, cái văn hóa Việt Nam cũng có những cái khó khăn riêng, nó có cái hay, nó có những cái điều mà nó có thể nó làm một cái trở ngại cho chúng ta. Sau mình xin chia sẻ chút xíu về gia đình của sau mình. Sau mình là út, trong gia đình có 6 anh chị em, 3 trai và 3 gái. Sau mình thì sang trưởng bên Mỹ, born in Nebraska, raised in Louisiana, and now I live in the Midwest. So it's one of those opportunities that I've lived in different places and I've also grown up and recognized that's part of the challenge. Một cái khó là trong gia đình của mình thì có 4 anh chị thì sang ở Việt Nam. Sau đó gia đình đi vượt lên qua bên Mỹ, lớn lên ở Louisiana. Nhưng trong thời gian đó thì thêm một chị kế sơ huyền sinh ra, sau tới phiên sơ huyền sinh ra thì thực sự trong cái môi trường của gia đình ấy, thì cũng có những cái xích mích, những cái cãi lộn với nhau. Cha mẹ thì có đôi khi cũng bận rộn lo về những công việc ấy để nuôi con, thì bằng đó anh chị em ấy thì cố gắng làm sao giúp nhau sống thôi. Thì bây giờ sau này coi như là hơn 40 năm sau thì bằng đó anh chị sơ huyền với sơ huyền là anh cả và đi tu làm nên một 4 anh chị ở dưới thì lập gia đình. Sau đó sơ huyền thì biết là trong cái thời gian mà lớn lên với nhau thì đương nhiên gặp phải những cái trường hợp là không hiểu nhau. We don't understand each other all the time. There's a 10-year difference between my oldest brother and myself. And because of that aspect of that culture difference, the barriers within the family setting, it's not always easy to recognize where is it that we can grow to understand one another. Where's the communication that can take place? Giữa cha mẹ thì đương nhiên cha mẹ muốn nói tiếng Việt, con cái thì lại nói tiếng Anh, mình không có gặp nhau được. Tại sao vậy? Nó có những cái cản trở khác. Mình bây giờ có thể cho một cái ví dụ trong Thánh Kinh. Chính Chúa Giêsu có gặp phải những cái khó khăn. Jesus himself had encounters of misunderstandings within his own family. Khi Chúa Giêsu bị thất lạc ở trong đền thánh, đã biết là mẹ đi tìm con, không biết con ở đâu, hỏi Giêsu hỏi Thánh Giuse là where is our son? Mình nghĩ ra đi, where is our son? I don't know where he's at. We have to go find him. Chúa Giêsu đi lại 3 ngày không tìm được, tự nhiên cha mẹ trở lại đền thờ đi tìm con, tại sao con lại đi như vậy? Why, son? Why have you done this to us? Chúa Giêsu trả lời một câu rất là dễ thương. Why were you looking for me? Did you not know I had to be in my father's house? Lúc đó Đức Mẹ cũng bỡ ngỡ, không hiểu, nhưng suy gẫm trong lòng. Mary did not understand the words, neither did Joseph. But she said, according to scripture, she pondered it in her heart. It doesn't mean she understood. That doesn't mean she recognized what was happening. She just said, at that moment, she just allowed the mystery to continue. And sometimes in our own journey, that's what we have to do. Sometimes we won't be able to speak to our parents. Sometimes we won't be able to communicate with our brothers and sisters. We can try, but somehow there's an obstacle. Khi Chúa Giêsu còn nhỏ, 12 tuổi thì đã xảy ra. Khi Chúa Giêsu lớn lên cũng còn xảy ra mà. According to the Gospel of St. Mark, it says Jesus came home. Again, the crowd gathered, making it impossible for them even to eat. When his relatives heard of this, they set out to seize him, for they said, he is out of his mind. In other words, he's crazy. What are you doing? You're not even eating. You're not even resting. Chính những người họ hàng, những người quen thuộc với Chúa thấy Chúa Giêsu làm sao nó không hiểu được cái lý do. So, nếu mà Chúa Giêsu cũng bị hiểu lầm bởi những người trong gia đình, muốn chi mình là người cũng bị hiểu lầm với nhau, mình là con người mà, mình có những cái thách đố, những cái ưu đuối, những cái khó khăn mà mình không thể vượt qua được. Chính Chúa Giêsu cũng bị hiểu lầm. So we recognize that Christ himself encountered the challenges of family. That's not to say that he himself didn't pray about it, didn't have an opportunity to consider what is it that the Father wanted for him at this time. So this is a question to ponder. Why are there challenges or difficulties? So I think this is a quote that I want to give you to ponder. It's not distance that keeps people apart, but lack of communication. Vì không có cơ hội, vì không có thời gian, vì không có muốn, vì cái ước nguyện của mình nói là mình đã cố gắng nói trước là I tried talking to my parents, but she doesn't listen, or she doesn't want to listen. My dad doesn't want to listen. He's too Vietnamese. He won't understand. I'm American. Xong rồi luôn có thể nói cái câu đó, I'm American. Lớn lên ấy thì không có bao giờ cảm thấy mình là người Việt Nam. Nói tiếng Anh rõ hơn, cũng thích ăn đồ Việt Nam. Nhưng thực sự là mình không có identify cái căn tính mình không phải là Việt Nam. Rồi mình bị xấu hổ, bị mặc cảm, bị lo sợ người khác họ đánh giá mình. And so the lack of communication and the lack of understanding from between the parents and the children, for various reasons, not intentional sometimes, but it is there that we recognize there is an obstacle. Thì bây giờ thì Song Huyền xin mời một người sẽ chia sẻ cái kinh nghiệm bản thân của mình để cho có thể có một cái tư tưởng khác để cho chia sẻ với quý ông bà và anh chị em. Song Huyền xin mời anh Hưng. Please invite Mr. Hưng to share the connection.
Thank you, sir. I say hi to everybody. It's an honor and a privilege to be here to speak to everyone. After looking at the crowd today, not too long ago, I was one of those kids sitting up there and listening. I was in 2D, I was Altar Boys, I was do everything that you guys was doing right now. But, recently, I just came home after 23 years of incarceration. I was in prison for 23 years. That's why this thing was touched so home to me, because I feel like at that time, my mom don't understand me. And the misunderstanding of lack of communication that lead me to prison, incarceration. I came to this country when I was 14 years old. Without speaking any words of English, I go straight into high school. I got bullied, I got picked on, called me name, and every time I come home, I always told my mom, I hate school. I don't want to go to school. My mom said, you have to. You're in America. You bring you over here for a better future. So every day to me, when I first come here, it was like a drag. I hated school. I don't have any friend. I don't speak any English. I can't watching any TV or understand any program. And coming over here, my mom constantly working. Every time I told her, why you always work? You never take me here. You never help me with my homework. And her answer always be, well, I have to work to put food on the table, the roof over your head. Hers feel like her responsibility to provide me, and I had to go to school. So going to school, I got picked on. I got into many fights because I'm tired of being picked on and being bullied. And one day, I got beat up by 4 different guys in my school, and I fight back. And I ended up getting kicked out of school when I was in high school, in my sophomore years in high school. And a group of Vietnamese friends at that time come and comfort me. I don't really know who they are, but they come and comfort me and they say, it's okay, we're gonna help you. And I'm like, help me for what? I said, we're gonna get them back for you. We're gonna prevent what they did to you. And I don't fully understand at that time what they mean. When I got kicked out of school, the next day they come and pick me up, they drive me back to school, and I was sitting in the car watching them beat up the other guy that just beat me up a couple of days ago. I feel so good at that time. Somebody finally understand me and got my back. I go home and tell my mom I got beat up. All she do is yelling at me even more. You have to do something for them to do that to you. No way they will just bully you and they're just gonna hit you. So that was my fault I got beat up. That was my fault I got kicked out of school. So I feel like more than my mom really don't understand me what I'm going through as a teenager. And now I have a group of friends that don't know me, that go out of their way to help me. So at that moment, I feel like they are my family. Every day they come pick me up, they drive me to play, we having fun. I feel like I have a family every time I come home to an empty house because my mom is working. Just me and my brother and my little sisters at home. And I feel like home is miserable for me, but the street is more fun. I have families out there on the street that will be there for me no matter what. Whatever I need, they provided to me. So to me at that time, my loyalties and everything to my friend from the street. Hanging out with them, give me a sense of belonging, give me a sense of family that I'm always yearning for, always asking for. I just hope somebody understand me when I talk to them, not make fun of me, not yell at me. Every time I come home, my mom always like, did you do your homework? Did you do this? Did you do that? A teenager, I don't fully understand that my mom just want a better future for me. She just want me to do good in school because in America, you have to go to school to be succeed in this country. So my life continued as a teenager, going up to the young adult. I continued hanging out with these bad people. And one day, a fight broke out to lead to a death of an innocent person. I was at the scene. I got arrested. I was convicted and sentenced to die in prison. I was sentenced to life without a possibility of parole in prison. What means is I would die in prison and never get out. After I'm arrested, I feel ashamed, but at the same time, I feel justified. I'm like, nobody cared about me. So what? It's my family don't care. But after that, when I started realizing this, my mom, she had to empty out her bank account to hire me an attorney, to come visit me, to provide everything for me, while all my friends that I would hang out every day, they slowly disappeared. And I thought they are my family. I do everything for them. I protect them, I lie for them, I do everything for them. I thought they're my family, but slowly they all disappeared. At the end of the day, that's when I realized that my mom did not hate me. She loved me with everything she had, all the hard-earned money she emptied out to get an attorney to help me get out of jail, get out of prison. Unfortunately, I can't. I was convicted, sentenced, and sent to prison to die. I always remember when my mom came visit me in prison, and she sat right across me. I was only 19 years old. This is my first time ever being arrested for any crime, for anything. I was 19 years old having fun, and I was sentenced to die in prison. I remember my mom sitting across me and telling me something I will never ever forget. I wish I could trade my life with you. I wish I could be in there and you be out here enjoying your life. That hurt me so deeply. The mom that I thought that abandoned me, hating me on everything all this year is loving me so much, willing to give up her life for my freedom. That's why I'm slowly understanding what my mom tried to taught me as a kid. As you grew up in this country, you surround yourself with positive people. Why did I get into those fight? Because I surround myself with negative people, bad people. Yes, my mom working constantly, but as a single woman in this country, she have to work. And my fault is not to tell her how I felt. As a teenager, a young adult, I should have told her, Mom, I need you to spend time with me. I need you to spend more time with me rather than work. After work or something, sit down and talk to me so we can have a family dinner. We can talk to each other, to understand each other. That was all my regret. I never tell her that when I was a teenager or a young adult. And in 2004, I got the worst thing when I was sent to die in prison. My mom was killed by a car accident. She was only 50 years old driving home from work, and she was killed by a drunk driver. The news hit me. It's the hardest thing I ever had to do. I would regret, I would be ashamed what I did to her. Now I never have a chance to tell her that I love her, and I'm willing to do anything, sacrifice to make her happy. Now she's gone without me having an opportunity to tell her. After her pass, I take a deep look at myself and I pray to God. I say, God, what do you want me to do? Suicide thought is all constantly in my head. I have to thinking about what a point of leaving. But, with the grace of God and prayer, the answer comes to me. I can still be a good boy and she's still watching over me no matter where I am. No matter where I am, God is watching me and she's watching me. She always be proud of me. I changed my life. I started signing up to go to schools in prison. I started becoming a better person, help other people, go to church, study more about Bible, learn about my religion. That I go to church, but I never learned about it when I was a kid. You know, in 2018, by the grace of God, by everything, Governor Brown saw that my change in prison, and he told the prison warden that this guy had no reason to live for, but he changed his life. And he took away my death sentence and gave me a release date, a 25-year to life with possibly a parole. And in 2021, I'm finally walking out of that prison after 23 years of incarceration. And now thinking back, it's all because of me miscommunication with my mom. I feel like she don't understand me, she don't get me. My friend understand me. I'm standing here telling all of you guys, your mom and your dad love you with everything they have. Sometimes we not agree with things we say, things we do, but they love you. You know, talk to them, speak to them. If you have any question, any feeling, tell them how you feel, because you never know the next moment they will not be here. I don't want anybody to be where I was, to follow my footsteps, but to be willing. That's a long road that I took by the grace of God that I'm home tonight. I'm not supposed to be here right now, standing here talking to everybody. So I'm here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to share my story. I hope that all the young people listen to my story. Open up a communication with your parent. They love you. They will understand you if you talk to them. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Xin chân thành cảm ơn anh Hưng chia sẻ một câu chuyện rất là tình cảm. Very emotional story of what he encountered. A beautiful witness of his own conversion, his own recognition of his limits, but also seeing the love that his mother had for him. Sometimes that will happen in your own journey, that you encounter people that you believe are your friends, that will support you because your family doesn't understand, because you don't speak to them, because you don't have the, because they're too busy doing everything else. Vì vậy mà chính mình cảm thấy mình bị hắt hủi, mình bị thiếu sót, mình không có được cái tình thương của người cha người mẹ, và mình cảm thấy mình bị tội. It's because of me, so then it becomes almost looking inward to yourself. But the opportunity of what Anh Hưng has shared in his own story is that conversion is possible. That when you think about it, having the desire to be reconciled with oneself and with others in one's family, that desire itself, Chúa sẽ chúc phúc cho chúng ta. God will bless that effort. And he recognized from a tragedy, the death of his mother, that he could be healed, truly, được chữa lành. Because of whatever happened in the past, he didn't let the past control his future. He recognized where he was at, he acknowledged who he was, and he continued to live for the future. So that's an opportunity for you and for me to learn from that. Maybe we have a connection to his story. Maybe we have regrets that are part of our own life journey. But recognizing that it's not always easy. And in fact, his story is one of many. But we know that communication doesn't happen overnight. It took several years. Vì đối với chúng ta đó, mình phải kiên nhẫn trong cái thời điểm đó. Nhiều lúc mình muốn ngay bây giờ. We want it immediate. We want it now. And yet, it doesn't happen that way. Vì cái yếu đuối con người, vì cái giới hạn của con người, our limits and our weaknesses, communication still has its own obstacles and its challenges. Sometimes it's between parents, not just parents and children, parents with one another, cha mẹ không đối thoại với nhau. Và trong cái trường hợp đó thì lại gặp những cái khó khăn cho con của mình. So between parents, when there are difficulties, if the parents are not communicating with one another, the mother and the father, how can the children take that step, that initiative? Thì bây giờ sau mình xin mời người thứ hai có thể chia sẻ với chúng ta một cái bộ mặt trẻ và có một cái kinh nghiệm cũng rất là xuất sắc. Thì xin mời em Tú Lan.
So I will be here talking about my losses during COVID. My first loss was myself. So during COVID, I realized how slowly insane I was going, just with all the isolation, and it was not good on my mental health. It was actually terrible on my mental health. Until I finally saw a therapist, which took about a 3-year wait, very long, and it took me the longest time because therapists don't tell you what to do. They guide you along and they try to help you figure it out, but you have to figure it out on your own. I went through many different phases. I cut my hair to about here. I had a really cringy phase where I had like my eyebrows really thick. Luckily, we're past that. And I was all over the place. I really didn't know who I was at all. I really struggled with a lot of themes. Mentally, just thinking about like situations, dilemmas, parent relationships, or even just relationships in general were really difficult for me because I couldn't even handle thinking about like myself fully. And of course, I would do unhealthy things like trying to be before someone else's therapist, which is not a good thing. It's really draining. And I would also drain myself a lot by doing totally unnecessary things that just got me way in over my head, which I'm so glad I got past. Okay, let's all take a deep breath because this is where it's gonna get like sad. So the second thing that I lost during COVID was my dad. Basically, I was never the most closest to him. Me and my mom have a much closer relationship since they've been divorced since I was about 4. So not seeing him around was kind of like the norm. Just like in my life, I didn't realize how it wasn't the norm at all, but so basically, about a year ago, in September, he died, and due to cancer. It was very unexpected because the doctor said he had weeks to live, but he in reality only had 3 days. And it was really hard on me because that was like my first real lesson on loss and grievance. And at first I didn't feel anything. Literally the second day it happened, I went back to work where I used to work at a restaurant, and I didn't feel a thing. But then slowly, when every single person I knew kept texting me like, I'm so sorry for your loss, or everyone kept talking to me about it, obviously I didn't want to hear it. It just became increasingly difficult to accept that, he was gone. And I remember having to go to the hospital to literally see him die in front of my own eyes slowly. But of course, you're not gonna really go into depth of that. You're just kind of gonna help where you can and when you can. It was really difficult for my schooling, my education, all my relationships, because I could barely take care of myself. Because over time, it just got worse of the effect of loss. The more you think about it, the more it becomes more drastic. You don't have anyone to walk you down the aisle. You don't have that father figure at like your graduations and all the other important events. And I didn't realize how big of an effect it had on me until it really settled in, where I couldn't just visit him anytime. I couldn't ask him to go eat with me at any time. It was good in some ways where I could really connect with his family a lot more, and bad But fast forward to a year now, I learned so much. Even for about 6 months, I actually had headaches every single day because of how just traumatic it was. But slowly, I learned how to move on, and like with the grace of God, I got some guidance, and I just know He supported me. Thanks.
Thank you, Lula, for your story and for sharing the difficulties and the challenges. The recognition that trong cái thời gian mà đại dịch Covid, mình biết là có cái sự cách ly, cái sự xa cách nhau, that isolation, the social distancing, that has a toll on one's own mental health and one's own journey of interaction, of being able to relate. The fact that we are physically here with one another is a gift and a miracle in and of itself. Mình phải tin rằng Chúa trong cái sự quan phòng của Ngài giúp chúng ta có thể vượt qua những cái thách đố đó. God gives us the grace to be able to overcome the obstacles. So in the case of Bulan, the losses that she encountered in relation to communication within family and within her own self, her own journey, the mental struggles are real. Trong khi cha mẹ có thể không biết thông cảm, có thể không hiểu, không biết lý do tại sao con mình là như vậy, mà mình thì lại không có diễn tả được. You can't explain it, you can't describe it. It's one of those emotional struggles that oftentimes remains within the individual. And so we recognize that for the first step, for healing to take place, has to be self-knowledge. Mình phải biết chính mình là ai. Mình có biết mình là ai không? Không phải là tên tuổi, không phải nơi mình ở, nơi mình làm. But the first step is recognizing your true identity. It's not what you do or where you live or how old you are, if you're male or female. First and foremost, you are God's beloved child. Mình là con Thiên Chúa. Và vì mình là con Thiên Chúa thì mình có tất cả những cái ơn mà Chúa ban cho chúng ta để chúng ta có thể vượt qua cái tự nhiên. Lẽ dĩ nhiên vì mình là con người sa ngã, because of our own fallen nature, it's too easy to give up. It's too easy to say it's for someone else's fault. It's too easy to say, well, I don't have the time, I don't care, I don't even bother anymore. Rất là dễ để ở lại cái tự nhiên của con người của chúng ta. It's too comfortable. But you and I are invited to take a step further, bởi vì chính Chúa Kitô đã xuống thế làm người. Chính Chúa Kitô làm gương sáng cho chúng ta. Jesus himself gives us the model. He's the one that comes to redeem us and says, no, I love you, but I love you too much to leave you where you're at. I want to invite you to embrace the difficulties, carry your cross, and follow me. And so in that journey of our faith, we move from the natural to the supernatural. Through God's grace are we transformed. Từ câu chuyện của anh Hưng tới câu chuyện của em Tú Lan. It is not by one's own effort. First, you do have to recognize who you are. And from there, we come to recognize it's not about us. It's about God working through us. And so that's the beautiful image that you and I are invited to pursue, to ponder, to consider throughout this time together. Khi mình nói là evangelize now, it has to start within the family. Trong môi trường của gia đình. If we don't start where we're at, then where are we going? We don't have a direction. We don't have a place to go. And so we have to recognize, one, who we are, to lead us to the next step, from the natural to the supernatural. Thì sau mình cũng chân thành cảm ơn cả hai người, anh Hưng và với em Tú Lan đã sẵn sàng chia sẻ câu chuyện của chúng ta. Nếu mà có ai ở trong khán giả, anyone in the audience would like to have a question or curious about something, another aspect, or wants to share some words of encouragement after the session, we will invite you to come on down and speak to both of our speakers. But I would like to invite them up to the stage once again. if they would. There is a small gift that we would like to, as a token of appreciation, một cái món quà nho nhỏ, một người đại diện được mời lên để cho tặng cho hai người. Vì cái câu chuyện và chúc anh Hưng và em Tú Lan một cái hành trình trong đức tin và trong ân nghĩa của gia đình và những người thân yêu, một cái điều rất là tốt. Xin trao một tràng pháo tay. So here's the opportunity, as was mentioned at the very beginning of the session. Trong khi bắt đầu cái bài khóa này thì sẽ có một cái món quà xin tặng cho mỗi người ở trong phòng này. There is a cross that we would like to give you as a sign of hope, a sign of love, a sign of God's presence in your life. And this will be a continuation. Session 2 will be an activity that involves having this cross. And so the cross itself is supposed to help you maybe ponder in your life, what is it that in your communication, in the relationships that you have with one another, cái tình liên đới với mình trong gia đình. Trước hết lấy một cái giây phút để cho mình suy ngẫm lại, mình đã có cái cơ hội để cho đối thoại với cha mẹ mình không? Have you had a chance to speak to your parents recently? Or you think, I don't know, it's still too difficult, it's still too hard, it's still too much, I don't think I'm ready yet. It's okay. You don't necessarily have to rush yourself through. But it does start with being aware, recognizing who you are. That's the first step. The first step to healing, the first step to answering that question. Tại sao má không hiểu con? Trước hết nhìn vào mình có làm cái gì không? Mình có cố gắng để đối thoại với cha mẹ mình không? And cho chính với các cha mẹ thì cha mẹ có cởi mở để cho nghe con mình chia sẻ không? Hay là bởi vì quá bận rộn lo việc này lo việc kia, mình không để ý con em mình. Vì vậy cũng phải cũng có cái xét lại, lục định lại cái cuộc đời của chúng ta. Mọi người phải nhìn lại, what is it in my own life that may be an obstacle or a barrier to that aspect of the journey. And so, khi quý vị có thể ra khỏi cái theater này, so có một số anh chị ở phía sau sẽ phát cho các anh chị một cái thánh nhắn. Xin các anh chị giữ cái thánh nhắn này, hold it, even maybe sit for a moment and pray with it. This cross is a sign of God's love, a sign of hope, a sign of opportunity, and a future possibility to be able to reconnect with family, with others in my relationship, but most importantly, with God. Thì như vậy thì xin chân thành cảm ơn các quý anh chị em, tất cả những người đã tham dự cái bài khóa này. Thì sẽ kết thúc với một kinh thánh danh và sau này thì sẽ có cái thời gian break để cho anh chị nào mà muốn có thể có đôi lời có thể chia sẻ hoặc là chúc anh Hưng và Tú Lan thì you're invited to come down. We'll have a break for lunch and then we will begin back here at 1:50. Xin mời quý vị đứng please stand. Danh Cha và Con và Thánh Thần. Amen. Danh Đức Chúa Cha và Đức Chúa Con và Đức Chúa Thánh.